Hello, everyone. If you could just let me know in the chat if you can see and hear me. As you can tell, I've brushed my hair for tonight's event. Hello, David Fisher. Hello, Warwick. Hello, Colin. Hello, Jimbo. Hello, Janet. Yep, if you just there's a slight delay in the chat of 10 to 20 seconds, I think. So if you can just let me know if you can hear and see me. Hello, Simon. Hello, Philip. Yep, looks like and we'll get stuck in about a minute or less. Hello, Andrew, David, George. Thank you, everyone, for coming this evening. Mary, hello. I like how you testing your keyboard there, Simon. Hello, Graham. Hello, Janet. Hello, Barry. Right, I don't want to wait too long, so we might as well get stuck in. Let me just load up my beautiful slide presentation. And we shall, get the chat box up so I can actually see what everyone is saying as well. Right, so welcome everyone. My name is Duncan Morland. If you don't know me, I'm your host for today's First Class Racing Live Q&A, and we might as well get stuck right in. So here's why I think you should be very excited about today's event. 2022 has been a rough year for everybody, I think you'll agree. Investors, savers, ordinary people like me and you. Stock markets crashed. Crypto markets belly flopped, which brought a tear to my eye. Energy prices are through the roof and doing their best to get to the moon. Mortgage rates are following suit. And the government not wanting to be left out through the pound, along with the UK economy off a very high cliff, probably just for fun. Yet, amidst all of this money-swallowing financial chaos, one man has been steadily, confidently printing lots of money for his members, not literally printing money like the Bank of England and Federal Reserve, at least as far as I know. I'm talking about horse racing tipster Mel G, who over the last 14 months has helped his first-class racing members more than double their betting banks. In other words, turned £500 into £1,000, £1,000 into £2,000, £5,000 into £10,000, and you get the idea. We all know what doubling is. And today, we're going to chat to Mel to find out exactly how he did it. We'll cover Mel's betting history, including the decades he spent losing money, the specifics of his first-class racing strategy, including running through maybe a real selection, so you can really understand what separates Mel from other tipsters. And then we'll open up the floor to let you ask Mel any and every question you have about his approach or the first-class racing service. Plus, we'll also give you the chance to join Mel and his happy members in the first-class racing community. But before I bring on Mel, I'm going to say something he's far too polite to say, which is, we told you so. When we launched First Class Racing in July 2021, we used this headline: why are all these horse racing tipsters saying they'll lose you money? And we listed loads of tipsters who were recommending 100-point, 200-point, even 1,000-point starting banks. That's them basically saying to you, hey, we have no confidence in our selections, so you're going to need a really big starting bank to absorb all of our really long losing streaks. Mel promised an alternative, a profitable approach to betting that has a low frequency of bets with 1 or 2 per week, a high win strike rate, so then there's no crazy losing streaks. And thanks to that high strike rate, you only need a small point bank of just 20 points. And guess what? Mel delivered exactly what he promised. Over the last 14 months, Mel's first-class racing has averaged 1 bet per week, achieved a seriously impressive win strike rate of 45%, double what most horse racing tipsters can do, and never had a drawdown bigger than 8 points, keeping that 20-point bank nice and safe. That's what low frequency, high strike rate, small point bank betting looks like. Needless to say, but I'm going to anyway, members of Mel's first-class racing service have been very happy with the results. For example, Pat Ryan says, it's been an absolute pleasure to have joined this group and to find such an honourable man, honest and full of knowledge, which he willingly shares with us. He's, of course, talking about Mel. Hammond says, I really appreciate the selections and the write-ups and the post-race analysis. And most importantly, I really appreciate you, Mel. Ronnie Taylor says, the bank has never been threatened, and I'm not just happy, but I'm ecstatic at this level of return. I'll share some more member feedback later on. Right now, though, it's time to bring in Mel so he can answer your questions. So, Mel, are you there? Let me close my slides down and we'll see if we can bring you from the internet to talk to everyone. So are you there, Mel? Can you? Oh, there we go. We can see you. Oh, I can see you at least. Can we hear you? How are you doing, Mel? You're still very quiet. Can you just check the mutes on, off even?
How's that?
That's perfect. Okay,
Lovely.
so I can hear you. If we just wait a second to make sure everybody in the chat can hear you. So how are you doing, Mel, this evening?
Yeah, absolutely great. Top form, as always. And good to see you again, Duncan. Been some years.
Are you blushing from my introduction, or was it make
yes.
you feel good?
yeah. I've had to change the lighting. I thought, turn the lighting up and I'll look paler.
Yeah, sure. So Warwick says yes, he can hear and see you. Let's just see if a few more people. Jimbo, yes. So I'm going to assume that everyone can. So Mel, I've got two questions for you, and then we're going to open up the floor to everybody else. So everybody get your questions ready for in a minute. But first of all, Mel, could you just give us a bit of background on your history with horse racing? How did you start out betting on the sport? Why do you love it? If you do, I'm guessing you do. And some highs and lows you've been through.
Yeah. Thanks, Duncan. Honestly, I could sit here until probably Sunday afternoon and just answer the first question. So I've made some notes, some idiot sheets, and I'll try and make sense of your questions. So how did I get started? All the way back to 1970, the jockey Lester Piggott was in those days a household name. And in 1969, but particularly 70, he was riding a horse called Nijinsky, which captured the public's attention, but it also, for the first time, captured my interest in horse racing. And I followed Lester and Nijinsky throughout the season. Some in the chat room will know that Nijinsky completed the Triple Crown, which is 2,000 guineas, the Derby and the St. Leger, and it's not been done since. So it was things like that that was beginning to hook me. But I most certainly was not a betting man in those days. What was also happening in 1970, but very much under the radar, was a 2-year-old horse called Millreef. He came to prominence in 1971, and that's when I fell in love with him, with horse racing, and everything to do with horse racing. My passion was ignited, to say the least. The 1970s was an era, a decade. It's never been repeated in terms of great horses, great jockeys, and I don't think it ever will be. I've mentioned Millreef, I've mentioned Nijinsky. We also had Brigadier Gerard, we had Grundy, Bustino, Troy, National Hunt. We had horses like Pendle, Captain Christie, and of course, between 1973 and 1977, we had Red Rum. That really,
even I remember that.
Even you, exactly. I had a very big bet actually in 1973 on Red Rum, which was his first Grand National win. Yeah. I think everyone knows how he collared Crisp in the dying seconds, and I had 50p to win on on red rum. That was a massive bet.
That's enough to retire on 50p back then, isn't it? Yeah.
It was because he won at 10-1. So yes, and I'd got these 5 £1 notes. It was like I'm a millionaire. But it wasn't only horses that had grabbed me at that time. There were trainers as well. Vincent O'Brien, no relation to today's Aidan O'Brien. Noel Merlis, both of those two people were great trainers. And in those 70s, we witnessed people like Peter Walwyn, Henry Cecil, and Michael Stout coming through. And on the national hunt scene, we had Fulk Walwyn, Fred Winter. Jockeys, I've mentioned Lester. He was number one then, and he's number one today. Sadly, we lost him this year. We also had Pat Edery, Willie Carson, Joe Mercer, those types of jockeys.
So this is a real, I mean, this is clearly like, it's not just about betting for you. It's a passion for the sport, isn't it?
Yeah. Always with me, it was the sport first, and way, way, way down the line was having a bet. In those during the 70s, I very rarely had a bet. And it's possibly the only time that I would say I was pleased to be to have very little to no money. So I couldn't be betting anyway.
Right. So when did you make that transition from just being passionate about the sport to sort of thinking I'm going to turn this into a career, or was it very slow kind of progress?
Very much a slow progress. You can't just go to a car, lift the bonnet, take the engine out, and then put it back in if you like the look of the car from the outside. That's the analogy I use. And with horse racing, there is so much to learn, but it's a great learning if you want to do it. And I come back to that decade of the 70s. It was the greatest time to learn a new sport. So I just drenched myself in it day in, day out, 7 days. And I'm certain that's why I've lasted this long.
So how long have you been, how long has your betting career been? I think I remember when we wrote our first promotion together for one of your services, I think there was 40 years in the headline. Maybe that's...
Well, my passion for the sport has been since 1970. So you've got, 52 years. Betting nearer to 40 years. In that decade, I was just learning. I wanted to learn about race courses. I wanted, where are they? Are they north, south, Midlands? I wanted to learn about jockeys, trainers, combinations of a jockey and a trainer. I wanted to learn about owners. Just something come into my head. Way back when, again, 70s, Lady Beaverbrook, she used to have brown colours with green cross belt, and every one of her horses had 7 letters. And the first horse I remember, 6 furlong sprinter, horse called Bold Boy. So if there's anyone in the room as ancient as I, they'll remember Bold Boy. So that's how I got into it. You ask, how did I start betting? Well, not for a very, very long time, but I thought it could be a byproduct of my passion. So I started finding out how to do it. And I see so many people were selling systems, so many people selling tips. And back in the day, again, people, anyone under 30, 25 might not know what teletext
I don't qualify
was.
For that anymore.
Do you remember teletext? Do you remember
CFAX?
Yeah. And so there was companies born in Newmarket that were selling tips, and they advertised that way, CFAX, teletext. So I needed to get the other side of the TV and meet these people that were producing these tips. I thought it's a way perhaps for me. But I very, very quickly, meeting a lot of them, realized that they knew very, very little about the sport. They'd got onto something that they could make a quick buck. They were charging 40, 50, 60, 70 pence a minute for a telephone call, and that's where they made their money, not through their skill of picking horses. So but I needed to find these things out, and
that kind of brings us to the second question, just because I guess the second question is, what is your strategy? How does it separate you from other tipsters out there? If you have some examples that you could talk to people to show the difference between you and other punters, and I'm sure we'll probably come back to more of your background stuff when people are asking questions. But so your strategy.
Well, I started to read things. It was the Sporting Life in those days, and then became the Racing Post. So you start to read form. And I did realise a long time after that the form book does hold all the answers. It's quite simply, it's an interpretation of the form book. Once you learn that skill, we can all read the form book, but it's the interpretation thereof. And with me, the strategy that I use now, I came upon it simply because the racing calendar kept changing, and you either evolve with it or you can't work with it. Very briefly, maiden races were taken out of the calendar. There's very few of them now, and they were replaced with novice races. I'm talking 2-year-old, 3-year-olds on the flat. They introduced a lot of long distance races and a lot of fillies and mares races, and I couldn't handle them with the form book. Most people that start out having a bet look for 16 runner handicaps, first 4 places, although you can get 5, 6, 7, 8 places with some bookmakers. There's a reason, and it's good for the bookmaker. It's not good for you as the bettor. Generally speaking, long term, I don't know anyone who wins backing on handicaps.
So you focus on the best of the best horses, yeah?
Most certainly. This is when my racing evolved to, I only bet now on Class 1 races, both flat and national hunt, group races 1, 2, 3 and listed on the flat, and grade 1, 2, 3 and listed on national hunt. But as one door shuts, they say, another door opens. And by going this route on Class 1 races, not only did I have the UK, but it opened the doors to Ireland and to France as well. So there are more opportunities for me, but you still have to wait for them to arrive.
Can I ask a question? How do you? Why is there an edge on the best of the best horses? Do you know what I mean? Because I would think, they're so good. So I guess, how do you make it work? Because you've obviously made it work. You've kind of doubled your members' money over the last 14 months. So it's and you've been doing this, making a profit for your members and yourself for a long time now.
For a long time, yeah. Right. I don't want to sound or to oversimplify it. But each race, no, you and I, Duncan, if you and I have a race, I can see you're a really fit young man against this elderly gent here.
It's a flattering camera, that's it.
Right. If we had a 100-meter race, I would think you would win. I wouldn't be too far, I hope, behind you, but you'd probably run it in 15 seconds and I'd probably run it in 20, something like that. Now, if we put a bag of cement under each of your arms and tied a bag of cement round your collar, I'm going to beat you every day. And it's going to sound too obvious, but the Class 1 races, sometimes it just pings off out of the form book that there is a race there where you, Duncan, are so hampered that I can't lose. And sometimes you see a race and you think, oh, I can't believe this. But there it is. There's the opportunity. Now, before we get carried away, this on average last year, we had 54 races. So over 52 weeks, there was one opportunity a week. But, an average of one a week. But they don't all win. But we're close to 45 and 50% strike rate, average price around 7 to 4. It's what I term a license to print money.
To me, a better week it sounds like a benefit because it's, you can manage it. You're not having to sort of, you can manage to put on a better week. You don't have to be there every day kind of doing it.
Right.
If people do, so I get Mel, carry on talking about your strategy in a second, but if people do have questions for Mel, just start putting them in the chat. Questions about the service, Mel's strategy, his background, you've got a professional horse racing tipster here in front of you. So anything you want to ask, mistakes Mel's made, and lessons learned, that kind of thing. Yeah. Sorry, Mel, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, not at all. Well, you asked me in your second question, how do I do it, and could I give an example? So I'm going to précis how I do it, and I'll give you a recent example of what happened. Basically, I'm looking for the best horse in the race according to my interpretation of the form book. Now, a recent example was on the 24th of September, just gone a few weeks ago. Newmarket, 6 furlongs, 8 runners, a Group 1, the Middle Park Stakes. It's a huge 2-year-old race for the end of season. Now, when I looked at the entries, then the declarations, and then on the day, there were 2 horses being hyped up, which I was so pleased, because neither was the one that I was going to give to my clients. And it's just that people had looked at different things other than fact. And that's what does happen in horse racing. Now, they made a horse called Marshman. There was only 8 runners. A horse called Marshman, 15-8 favourite, trained by Carl Burke. Now, as I just mentioned, we were in a Group 1 race here, the Middle Park. Marshman, last time out, was second to a horse called Noble Style, trained by Charlie Appleby for Godolphin. Ran very green up the straight, going left, going right, going left. And they said, oh, he's much better than that. You wait till you see him next time. Well, the next time was in our race. And so because everyone believed he must be better than what he'd shown, they made him favourite. They also, thankfully, hyped up a horse called Mischief Magic. And Mischief Magic is a Charlie Appleby Godolphin horse. Now, he'd won a Group 3 last time out, impressively. And prior to that, he'd just won a minor novice race, again, impressively. But the horse in there, it's like when I'm going through, it breaks the nib of your pencil because it sticks out that much. A horse called Blackbeard, trained by Aidan O'Brien and ridden by Ryan Moore. Blackbeard previously had won the Prix Mornay at Deauville, a Group 1. Previous to that, a Group 2, the Prix Robert Papin. It was a horse obviously on the upgrade. I checked with France Gallop and I confirmed my findings. There was only one horse for us. And so I gave Blackbeard as the selection. He won unchallenged, and the accolades afterwards, it was just music to my ears because we knew before the race, and he won at 100-30. So, which is 3.33 to 1, or if there's people in here not familiar with the old terms, that's 4.33.
Yeah.
So that's an example of what we'd found. They do not happen every day or every week, but
you don't need them to. If you,
no, you don't.
So it's a case of like, you know, looking through all the hype of other horses and trying to stick to the fact and the form, like you say.
Yeah.
And betting that way.
Yeah, absolutely. But you
we
have to learn that.
Yeah, what I was going to say is yeah, I couldn't do that. Well, not
very few can, Duncan. Very few can. And when I listened to the pundits on that Saturday hyping up those two horses, I just thought, well, you obviously, all of you, know far more than me. Even though I knew what I knew, it still didn't mean we were going to win. We were certain to win, of course not. But what I knew from what had been shown thus far, we were on the best horse in that race. And he duly won very, very easily.
Right, we've got a few questions from attendees, Mel, and everyone. If you anything you want to ask Mel, just put in the chat. So, this is from Andrew. Why sell your tips instead of just using them yourself? And I guess a follow-on question is: do you use your tips yourself?
Yes, there is not one selection that I give to clients that I haven't already bet prior to giving to my clients. And the reason I give to, there's several reasons. First, the one you probably won't believe, back in 2012 is when I first went public, and I've been public every day since 2012, and we're now October 22. Because of all the tipsters I'd met, I'd used, because of all the system makers and all the system sellers, which all of mine and theirs went into the same bin. They're just taking people's money. Some downright scurrilously, if that's the right word, taking money. Others not. Others may be there with good intention. But I wanted to just stop these people. No, not stop the people. I just wanted to show that you can make a profit from horse racing honestly. And that's what I started out in 2012 to do and to prove, and I'm still doing it. Hope that answers.
So it was a kind of moral thing as well. You wanted to sort of fight back at the people that were just trying to make money off other people.
Yes, basically.
And you get that feeling in your group, you know, the group chat, the First Class Racing, you know, it's a very positive group chat. It's very transparent, the track record and everything. So another question we've got. So Melissa, I'm going to cover the cost of the service after the Q&A, so I can walk you through that. Jimbo says, do you have a favourite jockey now that you back, Mel?
No. No. I don't. My strategy is not based upon any one jockey. If I just mentioned Ryan Moore rode Blackbeard, so it's nice to have one of the world's best jockeys on your horse that day, but it has no bearing on my selection method.
Okay, so you're more looking at the horse and the trainer as well, and the form.
The first thing I do is I highlight the Class 1 races that are coming up in the week, and then I'm always working a week ahead. As the entries go in, I go through the entries of every Class 1 race, and then as the declarations are made 48 hours prior to the race, then I'm checking the declarations. But
yeah,
that's something I do every single day.
So that's a little bit of insight into your process there as well. So starting bank size, we're going to talk about afterwards, but we can tell people it's about £1,000. That's right, isn't it, Mel?
Yes, I would say so.
And maybe you can talk a little bit about your 20-point bank, because like I said at the beginning, a lot of services have 100-point banks.
Yeah.
So the stakes are bigger, and I think this might address Colin's point in the chat as well, who's asking about sort of £32 a point stakes. So could you just walk people through starting bank size and the kind of stakes and why you recommend that, if that's all right?
Yeah. I put my betting on a business footing many, many years ago. And it's the best decision that I made. Now, for people listening to me now, I don't know whether you like betting for fun, £1 each way, £2 each way, a fiver here or a tenner there. If you do, I would stick my neck out and say long term, 12 months or more, I would doubt that you make a worthwhile profit. Now, I was the same as you, so I don't mean to be rude. That was me, and it's most punters. I just decided that all these £1 and £2 and 5s and 10s that I were losing on all these bets, 4, 5, 6 a day, every day, you're not going to win. And I'll argue that point with anyone. You are not going to win betting every day worthwhile at those stakes. So in getting to where I am today, I kept paring down everything that I was doing. And now I'm down to 1 bet a week with around about 45, 50% success rate. So all those pounds and £2 can now be a £50 for you, or a 60 or a 75 or £100. You're not betting any more when you add up all these 1s and 2s and 5s you do. You're not betting any more. You're just betting better. And that was the decision that I came to. And there's also another thing that changed my mind. And I offer this to all of you. If you don't join us, that's fine, obviously. I'm happy for you. But you need to come to a point where you feel, I have lost enough money betting on the racing. Because that's what changed me as well. I thought, I've lost enough here. I need to start winning. How do I do it? And the disciplines then kick in. So I now no longer lose money betting on horses. I thoroughly love watching race after race with not a penny on it. Don't need to. I'll wait for Blackbeard. I will say one thing, if I can, just on our strategy from earlier. I was going to mention festivals we do very, very well at. And I'll just quickly say, Cheltenham this year, there's 4 days, 7 races, 28 races in that festival. Myself and my clients, we backed 7 horses only at Cheltenham. We had 5 winners, which should have been 6, except Galopin des Champs, 20 lengths clear, fell at the last fence.
What makes sort of festivals so predictable to you then? And then I'm going to throw, I've got a list of questions built in the chat, so I'm going to throw some rapid fire ones in a second.
I'm just trying to get people to understand that you can win, but sometimes you have to change. The old saying, if you change nothing, nothing changes. Back to the festival, it's because the best horses arrive at the festival for the best races and the best prize money and the best prestige. So that's why we do well. I mean, it is possible. I think we had 1 bet at Aintree this year, which comes after Cheltenham. 1 bet, because the other 3-4 days I couldn't see anything that I wanted to put my money on. And if I don't put my money on, it doesn't become a selection. The only selections I give out are those that I have already bet.
So there's a huge amount of discipline and restraint. And I think that's what I see in the group chat as well, as members kind of saying, well, thanking you basically for like instilling that sort of discipline. And in the approach that they're taking with you. So let me throw a couple of quick fire ones. So Michael West asked about return on investment, and BetChat Josh has answered that, said it's approximately 23%. If anyone wants a full copy of the track record, you can email clients@thebetchat.com and we'll send you a spreadsheet with a full track record in. Graham, Mel did just answer about Starting Bank, but I'll go into more depth after the Q&A. Val asks, do you depend on inside information or do you only trust your own judgment, Mel?
That is such a great question, and I've got a great answer. When back in the 70s, when we're learning everything, the phrase came up. If someone came to me with inside information, then run the other way. Okay? Because they're giving you inside information for a different reason from me. They need money for something. Right. And that's why they're selling it. And it is not inside information. I've owned horses outright and in syndicates and in partnerships. I know trainers. And if I knew that a horse was definitely going to win because it had been cheated to that point for that race to win, I promise you now, I would not tell you. Why would I? Why would I tell you?
You just bet your house on it. That would be the.
There you go. The information I give out is my own information from countless hours over 40 something years of learning my trade. And I do not give out a horse. Last Saturday, I gave out 2 horses and said, we cannot bet these because do not bet these horses. Do not. And they both came second.
Why did you say not to bet them?
The ground had gone. One of the courses that had 26 mil of rain on the Thursday and another 6 on the Friday. And another one had 20 something on the Friday and 7 on the Thursday. The ground had gone. The form book, you might as well put it in the bin. But I had said to them, these 2 horses were ours for Saturday until the rains come. So I told them, but no bet was made.
So again, it's that discipline of like pulling out when the conditions change as well. So
and honesty. And honesty. We work with that.
Ian says, should we only bet in Class 1 races? I guess the service focuses on Class 1 races, yeah?
Right. I learned the 90-something% of my knowledge through working through thousands upon thousands upon thousands of handicaps. And I was talking about evolution earlier. I've evolved to be in Class 1 races only now. But without that work in the handicaps, I wouldn't know how to address the Class 1 races today. And let me just talk very briefly on handicap races. No, I do not bet in handicap races. I only bet UK, Irish, French Class 1 races. But just think a handicap. Why is it called a handicap? Let's say there's 8 horses there. Each horse has a rating. Each horse is allocated weight according to its age and rating. The handicapper has designed that race so all 8 horses go past the line together. That's what a handicap is. Does that happen? No, of course it doesn't. You'll get 2 or 3 or 4 often go past the line together. But the very fact it's a handicap, you're already betting with fingers tightly crossed that you've got something right. Why do you think in these big handicaps, bookmakers promote them day after day after day? Why do you think they give you 4 or 5 Bet here, bet with us. We'll give you an extra place. Why do you think that? You can't win backing handicaps long term. And if there is anyone listening that does, please get in touch with me.
You can do the other half of the service, Mel.
There you go. You know, I'm happy to meet anybody who is a proven winner.
Yeah.
And I will tell you now, I've been doing this for 40 something years, and I've been absolutely besotted by it for over 50. I have never yet met one person who, hand on heart, can tell me he makes a worthwhile income from betting on racing. Do with that what you will.
So we've got a couple of questions about odds. What are the range of odds given? This is from Rye. Do they go higher than 10 to 1? Right,
range of odds. No, they don't go better than 10 to 1. The lowest price that I will ever bet a horse is 1 to 2. That still gives me a 50% increase on my stake. Our normal price is up to 4 to 1. We've had 2, maybe 3 winners at 4 to 1. But as I mentioned earlier on, our strike rate, win rate, is better than 45%. Our average win price is very close to 7 to 4. Actually, it's just dropped. It used to be closer to 2 to 1, but it's close to 7 to 4. So if you do the maths, you've got to have 5 losers, let's say, at 50%, but you're going to have 5 winners at 1.75, which, do the maths, 74, what's that, 7.75, is that right? 8.75. So, you know, every 10 bets you win 3.75 points. It isn't that exact though, but you know, there's the maths. Provided we keep that strike rate, and there's no reason why not, and provided we can get, or the horses show themselves and we can get those prices, then we win.
I think so. Janet asked, the average price you say is 7 to 4. How do you factor in value into your process? Do you have a price for each horse that you will not back below? I think you kind of just answered that.
Yeah.
So value is a huge part of it, I guess.
Yeah. This word value, really, again, I just think it's Muppets that use this word value. If you're, you know, I keep reading and seeing, if bookmakers have all got a horse at 5 to 1, but it's available at 8 to 1 somewhere else, they say, oh, that's value. Take it. We'll back it at 8 to 1. It's value. Nobody, they back it at 8 to 1, but where's the bit that says, does the horse have any chance of winning though? You know, is that value? Is it, be careful, we have ladies present. No, it isn't. If you back a winner and walk away with more money than you started with, you just got value.
So again, it's all about the form for you.
I ended up, Duncan, having been so involved with this, it was like having a jigsaw of 1,000 pieces, and I just somehow had to get them together. And I've done that, and I'm proud that I've done that. And we've just finished a year, which was the 54 races. We were better than 13 to 8, just under 7 to 4, at just over 45%. That was in 12 months. We've now started again. We're in our 7th week. I believe, I'm just trying off the top of my head, we've had 6 bets, 3 winners, so we're on 50%, but 4 of the bets were profitable, so we are just over 4.5 points ahead already in the past 6 or 7 weeks, but we've only had 6 bets.
So this new season's doing very well then.
Yeah, but there's no reason, there's no rhyme or reason why it shouldn't. Now, the only things that could go wrong, I've just got my figures up here. We have had 3 winners out of 6, 4 winning bets. It would have been better, but those people familiar with racing will know the horse Corribus, which won our 2,000 guineas back in April. We backed him at Longchamp on the 4th of September. He came to win his race, and sadly, desperately, he broke his leg in running. I mean, and I will say that our clients, through myself, sent our condolences and sorrows to all connections of Corribus. We're not just betting, horse racing, making money. I'm not interested in that alone. It's the whole industry that keeps me.
It keeps you engaged. It's a sport you're very passionate about.
Indeed so.
Melissa asked about joining the service. So has Paul. After we finish the Q&A with Mel, which will wrap up, I don't know, in the next 10 minutes or so, I'll walk people through how you can join the service, how much it costs. We'll go over the staking sizes again, just so everything's clear, give you all those sort of admin details. We've got a few other questions in the chat that I'm going to fire at you, Mel, but if anyone else has any more questions, get them in the chat now and we'll ask Mel.
Yeah, keep them coming. I'm absolutely loving talking about my passion. Keep them coming, whatever.
So Val asks, does having too many clients not affect the price?
We haven't witnessed that as yet. And there's 2 things to say. One, I never put out a price that is not achievable for all. That's the first thing. And secondly, strangely, a lot of our selections drift a bit. Don't ask me why. Don't know why. So the answer is no. At this point, we're not moving the market.
So there you go. It's okay at the moment. And do you think you could go quite big on it, like get a lot more people on it, or?
Oh yes, yeah. I most certainly do. Yes.
Okay. Paul asks, would you say using the points system is the best way to bet?
Yeah. I've always been a level stake bettor, always. But not in the, sorry, I'll change that. In the beginning, I was like most people, betting here, there, like a headless chicken. Sorry. When I'd made that decision, I'd lost enough money and we needed disciplines. I'd learned by then that the best way is level stake betting. And I will just come back to these awful tipsters and system sellers when they come up with some highfalutin Fibonacci system, 1 1 2 3 5 8. Gee whiz! If you cannot make your selections profitable, level stakes, no amount of highfalutin numbers, Fibonacci, Kelly's, whatever you want to call them, is going to make you a profit. Get to level stakes profit, and you've done it. You've done the job.
It seems a simpler way to approach it as well. I hope that helped, Paul. I think he said that's. I think he says seems like you were describing him when you were talking about that.
Oh, well, that's greatly honest, Paul. Well done, you. Maybe you're at making that decision. You've lost enough. I go back. I do live my life, and I always have done, by phrases, and I'll do it for the second time tonight. If you change nothing, nothing changes.
Sorry. I like that one. Yeah. everybody wants change in their life. Well, I do anyway. So, not everybody. So for a couple more at you, Russell's asked, how many clients do you have? BetChat Josh has replied saying around 50 at the moment. I guess this is talking about first class racing. You have private clients as well, is that?
I do.
You don't have to talk about that.
But yeah, I do. And it was something I spoke to Josh about way back when, because Josh and I have been friends in business for quite a few years now. I have half a dozen friends, so it doesn't affect what BetChat
or the prices or anything. Yeah,
nothing like that at all. And Josh said go ahead, so with his blessing. But I'll just say there's a bit more honesty with the way I like to work. Is I asked Josh first.
Yeah, transparency all the way down is
all the way
thing with you, I think.
It's like surfing, Duncan. Yeah. Everything above board.
Well, I can't. I know I look like I should be able to surf, but I can't. So I'm going to fire a few more at you.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Simon says, do you only back win only, or also each way? Yeah.
Okay. The strategy is dependent on the horse, dependent on the race, dependent on what's in the race. It is usually 1 point win and occasionally 1 point win with your favored bookmaker. And if you can get best odds guaranteed, please do. But then occasionally I'll put in some insurance and we'll have 1.5 points to place on the Betfair exchange at SP. Now, the reason I do that is we're all getting the same price then. And if clients, and they often do, come on and say, you got 2-1. Well, I got 9-4 and I got boosted to 5-2. I could not be more pleased, but I use that base figure. If I got 2-1, then that's the service.
And it makes the track record very transparent and a track record people can easily replicate as well. It's not kind of taken from the highest kind of odds possible or that are unrealistic.
Yeah, most comments are that they're beating the service in profit, and I couldn't be more pleased.
So I've got two questions, one from Warwick and one, I think it was Philip, asked the same question, which is how do you avoid account closures with bookmakers? If you know, as a professional bettor, how do you sort of get around some of
that? I don't, is the honest answer. All but one of my accounts in my name have been closed. All the accounts in a friend's name have been closed, or I gave up because, sorry, I need to get that right. All my personal accounts are either closed or I'm allowed so little money on them that they might as well be closed. Similarly, with a friend's account who gave me his bank account and said, crack on. And another friend who said similarly, crack on, here it is. Those accounts are either closed or as good as closed. So what I did, and here's a tip for anyone, if this will help you. I moved home. I bought this home a year last May, and with a change of address and several years of not betting with one or two companies, I thought, I wonder, and with a different iPhone, a different laptop, different PC, so different, or the ISP numbers, I thought, I wonder if I could get one of my old accounts opened. And I have. So I've got 2 or 3 or 4 accounts. Hills have stayed with me. I've been with them over 40 years. I reopened a Victor Chandler, and I've got, I can't even think of the name, QuinnBet, That's another one. And there's another one which I can't think, but I've got about 3 accounts where I spread the money, and thus far, I hope I'm not tempting fate here, but this far I'm getting on the money that I want to get on. And of course, Betfair Exchange, we don't have problems there, none of us, or we shouldn't.
That's Betfair's come up in a few of the questions. So
Okay.
Simon says, I presume you could just use Betfair SP on the tips.
Yes, you can, but if it, I don't know, if it drifts, you're laughing. If it's bet, not so much. And it might be swings and roundabouts. I don't know. But yes, you could. And of course, if I tip something up, say 2-1, and you can get the amount of money on at 3.0, you don't have to mess with SP. Take the 3.0. And I would suggest to everyone, go get the 2% commission with Betfair. Forget the offers. Get the 2% commission.
Yeah, I think that's it's like a general recommendation, isn't it? The offers don't seem worth it. So Josh has answered a couple of the questions in the chat. Tips. So Rai asked how and when are the tips given? So tips are given both via a website and Telegram.
Yes.
Telegram is recommended for the community aspect as well. It's really good.
Yes.
It's like WhatsApp. If you haven't used Telegram before, you just download it, and you don't even need to use your phone number, I don't think. So it's really accessible. No. Graham's asked, how long before a race do you give out the tip? How do you publish the tip, and do you recommend taking available odds or SP, which we've kind of covered? So let me just check the Q&A tab as well, see if there's anything in there. So timing. So this is, unless anybody else has got any more questions, this might be the last one. So what time are the tips released each day, please? And it's not each day, is it? But yeah.
No,
so that's from Andrew.
Yeah. One thing I think is really important is that you can stay in touch with me and I with you. And that's a great benefit of Telegram. So I always give notice, and often days notice, of the next update. Now, if we're having a bet, I try my hardest to put the information out as close to 10 a.m. And there is a reason why it's held back until that time. William Hill are the biggest culprit. They won't offer best odds guaranteed until 10 o'clock. Right. So any of my clients that can only bet on William Hill, then it will go out 5 past, 10 past, 10:15, and they have the chance, the same as everyone else, to get the bet on at the price and best odds guarantee. The whole thing I'm trying to do here is to give people what I consider the best chance to make money. Now, that is not a guarantee. That is not a promise. I'm just saying, because there isn't anybody that knows me like me. Okay. And
not your wife.
Okay. Yes. All right. My wife. And it's not in my nature. It's not in my bones to make him better off than her or whatever. So we all have the best chance. And if we win together. If we lose together. But remembering losing is an occupational hazard, I'm afraid. Yeah. So make sure, if you're going to join us, and I love you if you do, make sure you've got a betting bank totally devoid from any domestic or any other calls. Don't be borrowing money to do this. Make sure it's separate, and make sure you're comfortable with the size of bet. Work up to a size of bet. Don't go from £2 each way to suddenly £50 or 100, because you'll sweat yourself silly. Give yourself a chance. Give me a chance to give you a chance.
Yeah, and with this, your track record, you've got the track record to be able to do that for people. So I was going to ask you to sort of if there was anything you wanted to finish on, but I think that was a really nice sentiment. Do you have a classic Mel phrase that you can just pull out to finish the Q&A?
Oh, I wish I'd had a heads up. I don't. Well, I suppose the classic is gambling is only fun when you're winning.
Yeah.
That's a classic phrase. What I would say to people, I started, well, I think you heard me say I had 50p on red rum. That was a huge amount of money for me then. You've got to get yourself comfortable with your bankroll. You must look at every bet as, if it wins, great, you expected that. If it loses, great, I expect losers. We have a strike rate of around 50%. Probability says we could have 9 consecutive losers. And you have to face up to that. As it happens, last year in 12 months, our worst run came in the last month. We had 4 consecutive losers. So we lost some profit. That's all we did. We lost profit. Hey ho, so what? Start again. And we did start again for this year. And our first horse came to win its race and broke its leg. What can you... Hey ho. Really sorry for the horse and connections. We've lost the bet. You know what happened next? We put 3 consecutive winners in. So that one losing bet, so what? And that's how you must get to develop your mindset. And that's why you must have a separate bankroll, so that if you win, great. If you lose, great. Wait for the next one. That's what I would say.
Bringing that long-term attitude and
long-term.
And the community. I'm going to talk about the community in a little bit when I break down the pricing and everything for everybody. But the community is a huge benefit for dealing with the psychological aspect of every service, I think.
Yeah.
So, okay, one more quick question, Mel, and then we'll finish it. So, okay. Mick says, I wonder how your service would work with rolling doubles. I don't know what rolling doubles are.
I do. What I would say is, if you have just bought yourself a brand new Rolls Royce, would you, and it's doing everything you want it to do, would you put tractor tires on it? You know, be happy with what we've got. So I get what you're saying, Mick, but look, I've been in this business over 50 years and I still haven't met anyone who wins worthwhile money. I haven't. I'm sure they're out there somewhere, but I've never met one, not yet. So we bet to win, and sometimes we have insurance places. That works, and if it ain't broke, no need to fix it.
No need for the tire tractors on the Ferrari. No. Okay. No. Well, thank you very much for taking the time out this evening, Mel, and answering everyone's questions. I hope it's been fun for you as well.
I've loved every second, and if we could do another hour, if there was another hours of questions, I would sit here merrily.
Well, we might get you back for another Q&A in the future. People bring other questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm ready when anyone else is ready. Absolutely loved it. All you people in the chat room, thanks so much for joining in. And if you do join with us, fabulous. If you don't, the very, very best of good luck.
Okay, well, Mel, if you're going to disappear now, I know there's a pub waiting for you, I think. I presume a pint.
That's it. I've been on squash look all night.
And then I'll walk people through some details of the service and give anyone who wants to join the chance to. So thank you again, Mel.
Thanks a lot, Duncan. Good to see you again, quite literally.
Yeah,
and good luck, everyone. Bye for now. Thank you.
Right, so I'll just get up my little presentation and then I can walk everyone through. So can everyone, okay, yeah, thank you guys. Right, so thank you to everyone who took part in the Q&A. You asked some really great questions and I hope Mel's answers gave you a good idea of what his first class racing service is all about. If you're still watching, that can only mean one thing. You're interested in becoming a member of First Class Racing. We covered most of the details of how the service works in the Q&A. And let's be honest, it's pretty straightforward. Mel sends the tips, you put them on. So you may just want to go ahead and join Mel right away. So I'll go ahead and activate the membership link right now. So those of you that want to join can. So if you just give me one moment, I'll... let me see. So you should see the option to join somewhere around the webinar window or in the chat box right now. So if you want to join, you can click through to the secure order form page and read membership details there. What I'm going to do for people who are still on the fence over the next few minutes, I'm just going to quickly break down the full details of membership. We'll cover what you get, recommended starting bank sizes, and the price of admission. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. You get two main things with your First Class Racing membership, Mel's tips and access to the First Class Racing Telegram community. Thanks, Josh. Josh was just confirming the link is there. So for anyone wants to join, it should be in the chat. So yeah, Mel's tips and access to the First Class Racing Telegram community. So first up, let's look at Mel's tips, which we did cover in the Q&As, but we'll have a little reminder here. As you know, over the last 14 months, Mel's tips have more than doubled his members' money. Mel's tips are delivered via both email and Telegram. That might actually be website rather than email. Josh will be able to clarify that in the chat. And Mel's approach, as we've talked about, is low frequency. So you can expect a tip once or twice per week on average. That said, just calling them tips or selections doesn't really cover what Mel does because he really goes above and beyond in his write-ups. He explains exactly why he is recommending a bet on a particular horse, and perhaps more importantly, why he's sitting out. This is an aspect of the service, learning discipline, which we talked a bit about in the Q&A, that Mel's members say they get a lot from. As David Edmonds says, brilliant write-up, Mel. It's the educational side of your posts that makes us all betters in the long run. And David Hughes agrees, saying, what a write-up, Mel, and more discipline embedded in us all. Another huge benefit of Mel's approach is he's betting on horses where the prices generally hold. Member Chris Marlowe explains it well, saying the good news is because we are backing in Class 1 races with more liquidity in the market, the prices hold for longer, which also means the track record is realistic for the average punter. As we talked about in the Q&A, you will be able to get on the bets and your track record should look exactly like the services or even better. In fact, member David Edmonds says, this is the most transparent service I've ever used. The published results spreadsheet is accurate and very closely mirrors what I have actually returned. So that's Mel's tips covered. In summary, you can expect thoroughly well-researched tips once or twice a week from Mel via email and Telegram or maybe website, alongside regular write-ups where Mel explains his reasoning for getting stuck into an event or sitting out, and realistic odds the average punter can actually get on. Oh yeah, and an education in betting discipline, which will serve you well during your time with Mel and just about any other betting venture going forward. Right, next up, we have the First Class Racing Telegram community. This is a huge part of the service. As you've seen throughout this entire Q&A at the beginning and just a moment ago, I've been constantly pulling quotes and screenshots from the community. It's a place where you can celebrate winners together, like when David let everyone know that Mel's bets had paid for his wife's birthday meal, saying what a great way to celebrate it, spending the bookies' money on a thoroughly good meal. And as we just talked about, the community is great for helping members manage the psychological aspects of betting, like discipline. Like when member Ronnie Taylor says, "Thanks for the early call, Mel. Discipline has been well and truly embedded following you." The community also gives you a level of access to Mel to ask questions or just engage in a bit of banter. And you don't get that with just services without that kind of Telegram chat group, I don't think. And as you've seen today, Mel is a lovely guy, and he's willing to help anyone and answer your questions about horse racing. Next up, let's talk starting bank sizes. As we've covered, Mel recommends a 20-point starting bank. So to make this work, you want to start out with at least £1,000. Although Mel has mentioned before that you could make it work with a £500 bank too. £1,000 bank makes 1 point stakes £50, 2 point stakes £100, and so on. Although Mel rarely, if ever, goes above stakes of 2.5 points. As we discussed earlier, it's Mel's impressive win strike rate of 45% that makes such a low point starting bank possible. £1,000 as a minimum starting bank size also means the numbers make sense when you factor in the price of the service. So what is the price of membership? You've got two options. Quarterly membership at £129.97 and annual membership at £399.97, which compared to quarterly essentially gives you a discount of £119.91, or for people who like percentages, a discount of 23%. But whichever membership option you pick, I think Mel's track record more than proves you're making a sound investment, especially when you consider his recent performance. As member David Hughes says, almost paid for my subscription, and we're not even finished with September. Even better, you're not actually committing to anything when you sign up for First Class Racing today. That's because your membership comes with BetChat's ironclad, indestructible money-back guarantee, which is 30 days for quarterly membership and 60 days for annual membership. That way you can take Mel, his tips, and the community for a kind of test drive. Simply come on in and see if you like it. And if you don't, no hard feelings and nothing lost, just like Mel said. Just let the BetChat support team know you'd like a refund, and they'll refund every penny. The support team is also there to answer any questions you might have about your membership. And that's it. I hope I've done a good enough job relating why Mel's service is special. As I say, the membership link for you to join Mel's First Class Racing service should be under the webinar window or in the chat box. So if you're ready to join Mel and the gang on his low frequency betting adventure, you can go ahead and start your membership now. I'll stick around for 5 minutes or so to answer any questions any of you have about what I've just covered about the service. And once again, thank you very much for everyone coming along today and joining in with the Q&A. So, as I say, there's a bit of a lag in the chat, but if you have any questions about the service, about anything I've just said, then drop a question in the chat and I'll try and answer it for you. But yeah, there is a slight delay on the chat. Or everyone can just go and join and we'll go and chat in the Telegram group. Not sure if there are any questions, so I will stay around for another minute or so just in case. But if you click through the offer link, it will take you to a secure order form and all the details are there. We're going to send a replay of the event out tomorrow. So if you want to sort of recap any bits, or if you're still thinking about it and you just sort of like to rewatch, we'll send that to you tomorrow. Right. So Paul said getting £1,000 in a lot of bookies accounts is sometimes hard because of responsible gambling. I don't have any personal experience of that. Josh in the chat might be able to give you a better answer. I've been able to put that amount in a bookies account without a problem. But I don't know if you're talking about sort of new restrictions. But people generally, on a lot of some of the BetChat services, bet with quite large amounts, so it is doable. Oh, okay. Josh has said, in response to Paul's question, you wouldn't need to put it all in at once due to the low frequency of bets. So you can always stagger the amount you're depositing in a bookie account. Yeah, I guess you would maybe just earmark that money in your normal bank account, so you've kind of reserved it for the service, for betting with the service. Well, I've either done a really good job at explaining everything, or everyone's dropped off already. Paul says he's signing up. Well, good to have you on board, Paul. I'm sure Mel will be really pleased. Is there a time limit on when you can join us? Right. No, there's not. There's no sort of time limit. We're going to send a few emails breaking down the what you get with the service and benefits of the Telegram community and that kind of thing over the next sort of few days. So you have those details and you can make a decision. But yeah, there's no sort of deadline currently. So that offer is just on the discount is for the annual membership, Warwick. So Warwick has asked how long is the offer on for. So basically that's the standard price, £129.97 for quarterly membership. But if you opt for annual membership, you basically get a discount of £119.91. So it's just rewarding you for basically taking that long-term approach to the service, which is a really good fit for Mel's betting because it's that low frequency, long-term outlook. I'll stick around for another minute or so and then, okay. Hello, David. So a couple of questions. Is it essential to have a bookmaker's account? Okay, so Josh has answered Betfair is okay, it's fine to use. So that's good news for people that are struggling with bookmaker restrictions. Thank you again for everyone that's turned up tonight, especially if you've asked questions and had a bit of a chat in the group. As I say, I'll give it another minute, and then if you've got any last-minute questions, if you have any questions that you think about later on this evening or over the next few days, you can email BetChat and we'll get back to you. As Josh said earlier, if you wanted to see the full track record, you can email us for that as well. Yeah, definitely have a think about it, David. There's no, we didn't want to do any kind of like sales gimmicks to rush anyone into like a buying decision or anything like that. You know, it has to be the right decision for you as well. But as Mel said, he'd love to have you on board. If not, then he wishes you the best. Is there any option of a 6-month membership? I don't think so, Rye. I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. If you email Josh, he can maybe sort something out. And the email for anybody that's got questions about the service, you want us to email you the track record, the email address you need is clients@thebetchat.com. Okay, so on that, I might leave it. Okay, yeah. So Mick says, be good to see a track record and see how well Mel has done over the last 10 years. Has he been profitable every year? So there is actually more longer term track records for Mel knocking about. If you email clients@thebetchat.com asking for that information, I'm sure we'll be able to put something together for you, because Mel has been running services for a long time now. So there's a longer term track record that we could probably share or find bits and pieces of. But yeah, okay, so I'm going to get off now. But so any more questions, just send to clients@thebetchat.com. Thank you everyone again for taking part in this evening. I hope it's been useful. We didn't have any major technical hiccups or anything like that. So I'm going to get off and I hope all of you have a great evening. Cheers, Mick. Thank you for coming. Okay, well, say goodbye.